I'm going live.
Right.
All right, and welcome to another day of today's webinar series on study abroad, study specifically design, fashion, and architecture abroad. We've been running the series for the last week or so, and we've finished quite a few of these. And today we're doing one on Singapore. If you've missed the previous ones, you can go on to our YouTube channel and have a look at those. Our guest experts are Shiksha Overseas, and we have Ms. Avinder Kaur, who is here to talk about studying in Singapore, and we have Mr. Rupinder Singh and Avinder Kaur, who are from Shiksha Overseas. They're the founders of Shiksha Overseas, and they've been running this for the last 20 years. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to share a feedback form, or maybe even during this, if you want to reach out to the DQ Labs team for study abroad portfolio guidance, as well as the Shiksha Overseas, just fill this one form and our team will get in touch with you. So over to Avinder for today's session of studying design, fashion, or architecture in Singapore. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand it over to Avinder. Good evening.
Thank you.
Avinder.
Good evening, Dion. Thanks a lot for having us here. It's a real pleasure to, do this series of, for studying design, fashion, and architecture in countries across the world. I think it's a very good endeavor that has, come forth by you people that where we are able to make our students, completely aware about each and every country. There is like information available over the internet, but it's really scattered, it's not, there's nothing amalgamated, put in one place for anybody to have a look. Okay, if I want to do creative courses, which is the right country to go? How can I weigh my pros and cons? So all these things are really important. So through this webinar series, I hope we're able to clarify a lot of doubts. We have been able to clarify a lot of doubts the students have been having, and harness a lot of information, which they usually had to visit, so many websites to gather for one country per se, per course or anything like that. So to moving forward with us again, now I've prepared a very small presentation where I'm talking about doing design courses in Singapore, So I would like to start, share my screen and take this forward. Okay. So I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible. Please go on.
Okay, great. Fine. Thank you. So let's another day for studying design, fashion, and architecture. And today's day is for Singapore. So when we talk about Singapore, it's also called as the red dot, It's made its mark, with a lot of I would say Singapore is widely known among its multicultural and multinational residents as a little red dot, which has made its mark on the world with many top accolades. It's just not design, but many other things, So there are countless reasons to love this garden city, from its well-structured urban planning. It's really well planned. It's very beautiful when you to its fast-paced economic development and its status as one of the safest countries in the world. So it is one of Asia's best countries for studies, and students from different parts of the world, they relocate to this country in order to pursue their studies in various streams. Like, what makes this country so popular is, one of the key reasons being beyond any doubt is the presence of some amazing universities that offer state-of-the-art facilities and the most innovative curriculum. They are very particular. So when you talk about studying fashion design and, studying design, fashion, and architecture in Singapore, this is one of the best countries to go to, offering really good curriculums to students. So let's first begin by discussing, a bit about life and learning in Singapore. What is it like? So great futures happen when you study in Singapore is a very well-known fact. It has a global reputation for academic excellence. The nation's education system is considered world-class and boasts of academic talent that is both highly advanced and competitive. They have very innovative teaching techniques, which is again, um, I think they're way beyond. They're very particular about how to go about, you know, imparting the education to their students. Unforgettable student experience. It's like a multicultural society. So when you enter Singapore, these people are respectful of different religions, races, and cultures. So a lot of people like to stay there, go and study there, and they're very happy because of the way they are welcomed, and the kind of international experience that you get to that you get there amongst, because people from all over the world are coming to Singapore to study. Post study work opportunities, there are a lot of companies which, if you study in Singapore, who are ready to hire you. In fact, it is one of the main reasons that post-study work opportunities are there in abundance in Singapore. And then Singapore is also known for its top industry connections. Since its independence in 1965, it's really flourished and grown into an economic powerhouse. It's really well known now. It's a leading industrial center for, aerospace, precision engineering, information technology, pharmaceuticals, biotech, the creative industry, and professional services, and a high quality of life. Mercer, the world's largest HR consulting agency, has ranked Singapore as a city with the highest quality of life in Asia in its 2019 Urban Life Quality Survey. So this is something that is really to look forward to. It's a safe and secure environment. Even when people are looking at a girl child, they're very skeptical about sending their girl child to a university which is abroad and which is far away from home. So this is one, this is called, it is ranked as the second safest city in the world in this 2019 Safe City Index. So anybody who's looking at going away from home, looking for a home, I think this is one place, that you can think about, where you will feel safe and secure. The parents of girl childs can also feel secure sometimes, because right after class 12, many parents think about not sending just because it's a girl child, as per the Indian community and the thoughts and patterns that are there. But this is a call out to those parents. No, it's fine for you to send your students abroad, your children abroad. And now when we talk about studying art and design in Singapore, if you're looking to pursue design education, there are Singapore's polytechnics, art schools, and universities. There are three types of institutions which are offering a variety of design and design related programs. So these programs are very intrinsic, shape. They help us, they really impact the way we see the world, how we interact with everything from physical spaces to business services, ideas and communication, and also constantly providing us with fresh sources of artistic information for all kinds of commercial and creative projects. So if you want to learn how to express yourself and capture visual ideas whilst taking a significant step on the career ladder, Singapore is the best possible place to start. So, let's talk about some best design colleges in Singapore. These design courses, be it any kind of stream of like communication design, visual design, graphic design, fashion design, merchandising, design, apparel, anything. These design courses are offered by either autonomous universities or institutes of technical education and polytechnics, or design or some art institutions. So the names of these, autonomous universities offering design courses is Nanyang Technological University, National University of Singapore, Singapore Institute of Technology, Singapore University of Technology and Design. The Institutes of Technical Education and Polytechnics are Institute of Technical Education, Nanyang Polytech, Jian Polytechnic, Republic Polytechnic, Singapore Polytechnic, and Temasek. So, and the art institutions are LaSalle College of Art and Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts. So when we talk about that, then you can think about applying to any of these institutions where you will get accredited courses which will help you get good and better jobs once you graduate from there. All these institutions are offering both diploma courses, certificate courses, bachelor's courses, as well as master's courses. So once you think about applying to Singapore, you can always get in touch with us. We'll give you a very detailed outlook of, which university or autonomous university or technical polytechnic or the art institution is offering which kind of courses in which area, whether it's architecture. These are for architecture also. Some of them are offering architecture courses as well. Now, next we move on to studying architecture in Singapore. As we've always, in all our web series, we've discussed that architecture is a very niche study, be it in India or abroad, So these courses, sorry, there is, they focus on technological design, cultural and historical elements of the subjects. And, so 5 steps to becoming an architecture as outlined by the Board of Architects of Singapore is that you earn bachelor's or master's degree in architecture, obtain at least 2 years of architectural work experience, pass the professional practice examination and meet the board's professional requirements and apply for an architect position. So it takes about 7 to 8 years for you to become a fully qualified architect, combining like first 4 to 5 years of bachelor study and then 2 years of master studies followed by 2 years of professional training. So but if you add your master study to it, then obviously the period comes to about 10 years. But just keeping in mind, getting a licensure should only take you about 5 to 8 years, not more than that. Okay, now what are the architecture entry requirements for Singapore? So again, English language, art and design, and mathematics are all preferable subjects that you should have studied before applying to an architecture degree, and you should always also enjoy drawing freehand and have an interest in design and producing 3D work. So at Singapore universities, a portfolio is very crucial, in being offered a place. So typical, again, requirements are your ABs, IELTS requirements, and each university, niche requirements for each Singapore university do vary. Okay, so once you start the application process, we will tell you the niche requirements for each university. Now the top 5 architecture universities, the top 5 architecture institutions in Singapore offering architecture courses is National University of Singapore, Nanyang Polytechnic, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore Polytechnic, Singapore University of Technology and Design. Now, National University of Singapore is amongst one of the top universities in the world. And when we talk about Singapore University of Technology and Design, it's a very new school, just about 10, 12 years old. But it has picked up a lot of, built a very strong reputation for being a very good school for you to think about going to. Now, how much does an architect in Singapore earn? So depending on the area that you're working in, your salary may vary. Architects typically earn an average salary of this is $100,000 to $270, $100,000 to $270 per annum. And depending on your experience in education, you may earn a higher salary. For example, an architect with a master's degree and 10 years of experience might earn a significantly higher salary than an entry-level architect with no experience and a bachelor's degree. But yet, despite all this, when you begin in architecture, architect's salary is really good to follow. Now, let's talk about an overall cost of studying in Singapore. So the boosting economy of Singapore is accompanied by some of the highest tuition fees in Asia. irrespective of the high cost of study in Asia, it is still one of the most in demand study destinations. So this is because when we compare it to other study abroad destinations, Singapore is rather cheap. Living costs are still very, very reasonable. And additionally, around 50% of the overall international student population is studying in Singapore is awarded grants and funds to support your, your educational expenses. So the average cost of pursuing a bachelor's or undergraduate degree in Singapore is around 19,000 Singapore dollars, which is like 14,400 USD. And fees for UG program at NUS ranges between 17,000 to 50,800 Singapore dollars. A master's program in Singapore costs around 20,000 Singapore dollar to 54,000 Singapore dollars. The cost of living in Singapore, the average cost of living in Singapore is around 10,000 Singapore dollars a year, which is very, very reasonable, keeping in mind the conversion rate that is there, as compared to the USD or the GBP and or Australian dollar or Canadian dollar. So then we talk about the scholarships that are available. Now, yes, there are a lot of scholarships available. As mentioned earlier, like Singapore offers 50% of its international student scholarships to afford their education expense. But, one of the very important things that you need to keep in mind is that if you get a scholarship or a grant from the Ministry of Education, then you have to sign a pact, for a 3-year contract with the Ministry of Education, that after you finish your studies, you have to stay back in Singapore for 3 years and work, which is I think works like a win-win situation, because if they want you to stay back, then obviously that means there are jobs there. So then Singapore International Graduate Awards are there, which are available for international students with excellent academic records at undergrad level and who are also interested in doing some research work. And they offer some financial support for up to 4 years of PhD studies, including full tuition fee, waiver monthly stipends, settlement allowance, and airfare grant as well. And then the INSEAD Syngenta MBA scholarship for developing country leaders, ADB Japan scholarship program for developing countries in Asia and Pacific, which are offered to international students, pursuing master's or doctoral programs. And then Singapore government scholarships for Southeast Asians offered to meritorious students from Asian countries enrolled in undergrad programs at the University of Singapore. And then these awards, full tuition fee waiver, a living allowance of 43,000 Singapore dollar per annum, and accommodation fee, which is really good. And then the SIA Youth Scholarship is there, which is again offered to students from Asian countries pursuing their pre-university degrees like diplomas or certificates, And then NUS Science and Technology Scholarship, and then tuition grant by the Ministry of Education. This covers complete tuition fee as well for many students who are meritorious. So, however, one of the major conditions on this grant is the graduating student has to sign a bond, like I just told you, that they will work in Singapore for 3 years. So this is one thing that you need to look into. Now let's talk about what are my work options, after I graduate. So jobs after studying in Singapore. So average income in Singapore is about 8,450 Singapore dollar per month. And the annual salaries offered in Singapore range from 25,600 to 453,000 Singapore dollars. So the salary distribution is like 25% of employees earn less than 59,000 SGD, 50% employees earn less than 105,000 SGD, 75% of employees earn less than 290,000 SGD, and 100% employees earn less than 453,000 SGD. So additionally, one thing that is very visible there is the male-female wage gap, which is like about 5%. So where men earn an annual average salary of 104,000 SGD, while women earn around 99,200 SGD. So a similar gap is seen between the government and private sectors as well, where you can earn 5% more in private sectors when compared with public sectors. So the private sector earnings are more than the public sector earnings. With this, now we come to the last portion of this presentation, which is the visa. Now, Singapore visa is not very difficult, but they are very stringent about when we're talking about the education. The student visa, they are very particular about your documents. They shouldn't be forged. They should be properly presented, proper financial, this thing is backing is shown. Like any country, they, they're very particular about the kind of students they are allowing to come to Singapore for their studies. A proper police verification is done, background check is done. They do a check with your academic institutions as well before they grant you visa. And another thing that, I would like to just add today is that, um, why do we think about, going abroad, leaving our family behind and going to another country for, taking education? One of the main reasons being is that I'm not saying that India is not a great place to study or whatever, but if you're getting reasonable education in another country with more international exposure, which really counts while you're growing up, at this, because this is our niche age where we are developing into an individual. So if we get to experience the international culture along with world-class facilities, because facilities are in India are yet to develop to world-class, the podium is yet to rise. So when we talk about that, so it's very important. If you can, I know we get homesick and everything, but everything good comes at a cost sometimes, and the kind of experience, it really completely changes you. I have experienced it myself, so I can for sure say that, it was a very, very different experience. It really opened my eyes to a lot of nuances, I would say, of the international culture. You get to actually experience it firsthand, just not study about it, And with that, I would like to end my presentation. Dion, I'm ready for questions, Would you like me to add something else, please?
At this point of time, no. Just yeah, at this point of time, no.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see if there are questions that are coming in. Avinder, if you can, I mean, it was a very interesting presentation about Singapore, but in case you can just go about discussing a little more on, how the proximity for Singapore to India. How easy is it for, let's say there's an emergency and parents need to go there, right?
Yeah,
How
right.
difficult or
So
easy is it?
yes, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, this is one thing that I think we should for sure mention, that, it's just about 2.5, 3 hours away by air, so some emergency there, and there are a lot of flights available, so it's very easy, it's very reachable. It's a very reachable place. It's not very far-fetched, like unlike the US or Canada, where students are, traveling either 18 hours or 24 hours, or probably 1.5 days also, because they have big layovers. Unlike that, Singapore flight is just about, 5-6 hours away, and no, sorry, I think 3.5, 4 hours. So, which is pretty easy to reach and commute. So, it's very, very reachable. Even parents, if they want to go and meet them, even the flight tickets, they're very cheap. They're not expensive at all. Just cost about 20,000 odd rupees, for one way. So I think no, 28,000, 30,000. For two-way fare, So it depends, but it's still very cheap. UK, if you want to plan, it's about 80,000 rupees, 70,000 rupees, depending on the time period. And similarly, US also about 1 lakh or so. It's not that expensive, just about 25 to 30,000 a two-way fare. So a parent can easily go and visit their own children, or the children can even think about coming back home for their holidays or festivals or whatever, it's easy for them.
Right. A couple of questions have come in. One is from Meeta Verma, who's asking, what are the selection criteria for NUS design course? Does it require a design portfolio?
Yes, of course. I said it there in my presentation as well, that yes, they do require a design portfolio for sure. NUS is one of the best institutions and it is very difficult to get into. But our students have been getting admission there since a long time, because somewhere we know how, what are they looking for in the profile of a student, so we build on the profile of a student in such a manner. We help you build on your portfolio in such a manner that it is there, like what extra is required by them, the kind of SOP that needs to be written, what are the academic requirements, what are English language requirements. All these things are there. Yes, portfolio is required 100%.
So on this front, is it that you just need to present a portfolio to them, or do they give you certain tasks to be done and you need to work on that?
Yeah, see, every university, when they open their admissions, each year, they specify the kind of portfolio that they would like to see from a student, for that year, depending on their, own parameters, that, these many sculptures or these many drawings or paintings or photography or other pieces of work, So these are very student, I will say each university has its own parameters which they specify, keeping in mind, you cannot just say, okay, this is my portfolio, here I give it to you. No, as per what they require, these many pieces of this A, B, C, D, whatever, accordingly we need to compile a portfolio for them, and then we have to upload it.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
So there's a next question from Soumya Venkat, who's asking, the tuition fees that was presented, is it per year cost or was it a total cost for the program?
Per year cost.
All right. So Soumya, I hope that sounds good. Now there's a question from Nitya V, who's asking, how are the job opportunities for fashion and design, and how much demand does it have in Singapore, right? From a Singapore
Okay.
perspective, yeah.
See, yeah, the number one design course that is in demand in Singapore is the graphic design course. Second is your architecture, but that doesn't mean other design courses like communication design or visual effects or anything else, or fashion design per se, which you have specified. It doesn't mean that, there are no jobs there. There are a lot of jobs there available, because Singapore is also one of the hub for fashion for Asian countries. That's where a lot of, fashion shows are taking place. A lot of designers are there. It's a very it's a community, a fashion community. It's a fashion community in its own self in Singapore. Okay, so there are a lot of designers that are there who are hiring. They might not be, I will say, okay, European designers, American designers. So similarly in Singapore, the Asian designers have their own catalogs, which come out and they work for, and they do require people who are talented to work with them. Okay.
All right. Okay. So Nitya, I hope your question has been answered. I think very good presentation today, a lot of information and pretty well structured. We're looking for more questions, if any, and there's one coming from Meeta Verma, who says, do universities in Singapore provide any placement assistance?
See, except India, there is no placement assistance provided anywhere else in the world. Everywhere else in the world, there are career fairs that are there, where on campus a lot of companies come and they showcase themselves and all, and each university has a career cell, that helps you build on your CV, and they also make you aware of all the jobs that are available. They help you apply to those jobs, but on-campus placements are not available. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that probably is it. I think to build up on this, even in India for design schools, it's not very common for them to have placement assistance.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Avinder, I just wanted to ask you one more question on this front, right?
Tell me.
So if you said if students are asking for the government grant and they need to have they need to sign the bond, right? If you can elaborate on that, is it risky? What happens if you don't, if you're not able to find a job?
Yeah, see, it is basically when we talk, it's not risky as such, because see, the government is investing a lot of money in you. It is only given on the keeping in mind the fact that there are jobs in this in this per se, field in the public sector. They're not responsible for jobs in the private sector. So somewhere these government ministries, they help you work in the public sector. And yes, obviously you are penalized if you don't live up to your, if you break the bond. So it could be the penalization could be either monetary or whatever. So one should think about it, because it all the whole, otherwise it's expensive. The Singapore education is pretty expensive, but if you're getting these government grants, it becomes almost peanuts. Like the money that you are investing in becomes like is like peanuts for you. So but then when that is why they want you to stay back and contribute to the growth of their economy, which is very important for them. And you can mostly students don't break these bonds, because everybody is looking at post-study work opportunities. So if that automatically you're getting a 3-year period to stay back and build your future. So anybody who's planning to spend lakhs of rupees going abroad, is also looking at post-study work opportunities, which you get. And there are jobs available. If they formed a bond with you, they will ensure that you get a job also. It's not that that you don't get a job. Sometimes it may take you about 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months to get a job also. It depends on your own capabilities and luck also, I would say.
Right. So I think that is an excellent opportunity for all our students and parents to take care of and look at it. So fantastic. I think no more questions coming in. So, and a very nice, concise discussion today. All right, Avinder, thank you so much for all your information and research that you've done and put together to put this across.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a question from Girish Kumar, Germany, who's saying, is the recorded session available? Yes, Girish, you can re-click on this link. It's a YouTube live session. So just re-click on the link and you can see the session again. And for those here watching, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just click on the subscribe button. You will be notified on tomorrow's webinars, or the next time we have a webinar, sorry, next weekend, next Tuesday. So please subscribe. That's the best way for you to get more information well ahead of time. All right. Thanks so much. Thank you, Avinder, once again.
Thanks a lot, Dion. Thanks. It was a pleasure, doing this informative session with the students,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Right.
I look forward to our next session on Tuesday, which is like study in Hong Kong, I believe, right?
Right. So next Tuesday session is study in Hong Kong, which is another interesting place.
It's a very interesting destination to think about,
Yeah, and a very plural place as well. So it's interesting, right? Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.